Alright, and welcome back to my Bloodborne Blood Level 4 Beginner's Guide. We've done a lot of running in the previous episodes to collect upgrade materials, and this episode will start off the same way. I know it's not the most interesting aspect of the playthrough, but that's simply how runs like these need to start. Other than upgrading your own skill as a player, so to speak, upgrading your weapon is simply your first priority, even in a regular playthrough. So the goal in this episode is to make our way through the Forbidden Woods while making a detour to unlock the shortcut leading to the Shadows of Yharnam, and then back around all the way to the other side of Yosefka's clinic for the Cainers summons. In the previous episode we unlocked the shortcuts in Hamwick, so after we have the summons and take care of the witches, we're going to pay an early visit to Cainers. We're not going to fight Logarius yet, of course, that's a boss you only want to face with a plus 10 weapon. But at Cainers we can collect 5 Bloodstone Chunks. So together with the twin Bloodstone shards that we are picking up in the forest, we can upgrade our Saw Cleaver to plus 7, with 2 Bloodstone Chunks to spare. This means that once we enter Yara Ghul in the next episode, we can easily gather enough Bloodstone Chunks for a plus 9 weapon, but plus 7 will be the maximum upgrade level for the fight against the Shadows of Yharnam. And in my opinion, that is one of the hardest boss fights on a BL4 run. Simply because you have to face 3 bosses at once. So you want to have all the benefits that you can get. And trust me, fighting them with a plus 0 weapon is a nightmare. This is not just water, there's oil on the surface, so run quickly through it, because if you get hit by a Molotov cocktail, you will die instantly because of the oil. It's safest to quickly run up to the cannon so that the cannonball will strike the ground behind you. Remember that it explodes on impact, so you want to be far out of the way. On the right side, when you're standing behind the cannon, you will find a couple of beast blood pellets in the shed. But be careful, the beast inside there has a different weapon than the ones from earlier in the game. And this guy can kill you in one hit. Okay, over here I make a really stupid mistake, because by now I definitely should know better than to carelessly run past the snake guy on the other side of the bridge. You need to roll past him, because running is just not really safe. Ironically, on my successful attempt doing a no Hunter's Dream run, I took a hit here as well and almost died. I suppose I'll just never learn. It's one of the reasons I don't do speedruns, I guess. Okay, so now the shortcut is unlocked, and we also have enough twin Bloodstone shards for a plus 6 weapon. But since we're going to Cainers, we need to run through the forest again, but in the opposite direction this time. Over here you can find some more beast blood pellets. I just want to emphasize again how valuable these items are. Yes, you can buy them with insight, and once we reach Upper Cathedral Ward, we find the badge that allows us to buy them with blood echoes, but the point is that they are consumables. So if you waste a lot of them, that means you might run out. So definitely don't forget to pick them up. And we might as well pick up the Tonsil Stone while we're here. Although I'm going to save Amygdala as the final boss before I enter the Old Hunters DLC. This goes without saying, but have some antidote ready. At least don't go up the ladder while you're poisoned, because you cannot use antidotes or blood vials on a ladder. So, I just thought I should mention it. Okay, I'll speed things up a bit. There's just more walking, some crows and a brain sucker that you can easily avoid. However, when you do engage brain suckers, transform attacks don't always break their animations. And if you get grabbed, you are guaranteed dead. So it's best to get 1 or 2 attacks in and move out of its reach again. Oh, and it's always a good idea to pick up the Communion rune while we're here, because we're going to fight the Witches of Hamwick next, and beating them allows us the ability to equip runes. And of course, we might as well upgrade our weapon to +6 before the fight, and don't forget to spend your blood echoes on blood vials, bullets, fire paper and such. There's no point in letting them go to waste. Also, don't forget to spend your insight. At least don't let it go above 15. And speaking of insight, if you Hunter's Mark out of the fight against the witches and go back to the Hunter's Dream to spend all of your insight, so having your insight at 0, when you re-enter the fight, no extra enemies will spawn. The witches will just be there by themselves. But that's not what we're going to do. Nor is it necessary, as this is a very easy boss fight to begin with. However, you cannot get careless, because with such a short life bar, if you get caught by the witch's projectile trap, and one of the extra enemies is near you, it will drain your health in a second or so. And while it's attacking, there is no way to get out or heal. Also, if you get grabbed by a witch, it will be a one-hit kill. However, there is a way to prevent the witches from doing that projectile attack, or at least to limit it to the absolute final phase of the fight. As you know, there's only one life bar visible at first, but the other witch is already present. So what you need to do is get the visible life bar nearly all the way down, and then kill the other one first. That will be the moment that the first witch starts using the projectile attack. But given that her life bar will almost be depleted already, you can quickly finish the fight. And in that short time there is also no risk of the other witch resurrecting. Now the witches do look identical, but you can differentiate between them because only one of them will be all bloody because of your attacks. At least initially, of course. So when the first one's life bar gets low, you don't want to go all out when you find one of them, in case you have the wrong one. Other than that, just like in a normal playthrough, it's really nothing more than a matter of patience. Okay then, so now we have access to the Rune workshop tool, and of course, now we can make our way to Kanor's castle. Alright, Cainhurst. A great area, but I'm just going to summarize this part, since we're just here to pick up a few items. We will return here later on in the playthrough. There are a total of 3 Bloodstone Chunks to pick up, with the final 2 coming from a scurrying beast on the top floor. First one is up the stairs on the right, past the ghost. And in the next room, don't forget to pick up the noble dress because of fashion. Second Bloodstone Chunk is up the tower. A little further ahead you can find the Executioner attire, and I advise you to pick it up, because we're going to wear it later on in the playthrough for the fight against the Brightest. And I will explain why this specific attire when we get at that point. By the way, if you are really lucky or willing to farm, these gargoyles can potentially drop Bloodstone Chunks, but it's a rare drop. Twin Bloodstone Shards are quite common, but if you really want to, you could farm these enemies to get your weapon even higher than +7. Don't forget the shortcut, as we will come back later to fight Logarius. On the next floor, the third Bloodstone Chunk can be found. And on the top floor, after unlocking the final shortcut, there's a scurrying beast that gives you 2 more Bloodstone Chunks. And that will be everything we need for now in this area. Alright, so now we have a +7 saw cleaver, it is time to make our way to the Shadows of Yharnam. Although we're going to make a little detour for another item. I assume you already know this, but in case you regard the forest as a bit of a maze, all you need to do is to keep following the road that is lit by lanterns. It is actually pretty straightforward. Alright, here we're going left instead of right, because there's a very helpful rune that can be found behind a couple of those alien-looking creatures. Anti-clockwise metamorphosis, which gives you 10% extra stamina. So that's very helpful on blood level 4. And speaking of stamina, I'm not including it in this walkthrough for the sake of time, but you can choose to follow Eileen's questline, and at the very end you get a Hunter Covenant rune that increases your stamina regen. Only by 10%, but hey, it's something. However, the other Covenant runes are pretty much useless. You might think that the Radiance rune would be helpful, since it increases the amount of HP that you get back from each blood vial, but only by 2%. So that's not even noticeable. What the hell? I'm stuck. Okay. I can't even roll. Well, this is some fucked up shit right here. Okay, thank fuck that reloading the game put me back on solid ground. That was some really weird shit that I've never seen happen before. Motherfucker. By the way, if you go right here, you will find a rune that increases your HP. But personally, I rather save that spot for the second rune that increases your stamina. Alright, time for the Shadows of Yharnam. This is a really tough fight. In fact, I think it's one of the hardest in the game for a low level character. But I can give you a good strategy at least. First, use Beast Blood and Fire Paper and try to get a transform attack in the first opportunity that you can. Hopefully you hit more than one shadow at a time. But then focus on taking the one wielding the Tonitrus out first. And given that he's the one keeping his distance in order to spam fire projectiles at you, it is relatively easy to separate him from the other two, because he is staying back and the other two are chasing you. The reason you want to take him out first is threefold. 1, he has less health than the other two. 2, with him out of the picture, you no longer have to worry about projectiles. And 3, you want to leave the one holding the candle for last. So it's either the one with the Tonitrus or the one with the katana. And the reason you want to keep the one with the candle for last is because you can lock him into doing constant sidesteps once he is the only one remaining. Make sure to quickly finish him off when they all transform, because you don't want to fight all 3 of them in their second form. Now it's the most difficult part of the fight, because the remaining 2 tend to stick close together and you want to only damage the one without the candle. Now it's best to lock on so you can do sidesteps instead of rolling. Especially watch out for when they stretch their arms, giving them incredible reach. And in true From Software glory, those attacks clip right through obstacles. Isn't that fucking nice? So hiding behind obstacles helps a little bit, but not that much. Also, make sure that there is enough distance between you and the shadows when you need to heal. Otherwise you get hit right after or even during your healing animation. Now, remember what I said in the first episode about visceral attacks? Sure, they don't do much damage, but at least it is safe damage. So if you get the opportunity to parry, just take it. However, if the other shadow is far enough away from you, do a charge R2 instead of a visceral for extra damage. Also, general rule about parrying: if you get hit right before a parry, immediately move forward for a visceral, because that will automatically restore your health. Okay, when the second one is dead, get close to the third one and do single R1 attacks. I almost screw up because I tried doing it too fast. You need to leave a small pause between each attack. No combos, just single R1 attacks. This will cause the final shadow to constantly sidestep, so it's just a matter of patience until the fight is over. This way you skip the final phase where he summons those chaotic moving snakes from the ground. And that's a clusterfuck that you definitely want to avoid. Alright, that's it for today. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button and don't forget the notification bell. And I hope to see you back in the next episode.